Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's the meeting of the permanent building committee. It's Monday, May 20th at 6 p.m. Who's not present? 2, 3, 4. Bob, but he's an alternate for the senior center. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, everybody's here. Bob Briscoe called, said that he's had recent surgery and he was not feeling up to coming to the meeting. Also, I've been informed that we usually have somebody from the cable commission recording this, but it's getting recorded from the online. Did I put that right?
I'm sorry, what? Yes.
Oh, not paying attention? Have a nice vacation? You made me the secretary. Okay, that it's getting recorded via the computer, so. The first thing on the agenda is approve, wait a minute. I usually approve who's here, I'm gonna forget that. Mr. Hornsby's here from the Selectmen's Committee. Bruce Snyder is here. Bob is here and Steve from Vertex and Beth is here from the Senior Center. And we're online. I apologize for last meeting that we weren't online. I have a flip phone and I am not computer literate, so you had to suffer without being there for those of you who live. Ed from CBM, the architect is online, and I believe
That's it.
That's it. And okay, so the first thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Everybody, first of all, I want to thank Brian for taking the minutes. They were done very well. He called me, we did a little editing, and then Kevin also had a few improvements to make, I believe. Did you make them personally or?
I thought it was good when you sent it to me.
Oh, okay. So I'll accept the motion to accept the minutes from the April meeting. Oh. Second, somebody?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Pass unanimously.
Wasn't here.
He was, I know you weren't here.
You assisting.
Brian took the minutes. Correspondence and mail. I get correspondence and email from Stephen. What I get, he goes over in the meeting, so they're not really relevant to bringing up. And mail, there, as of noontime today, there was nothing in the box. And I really don't have much to report other than I've been visited. I was on the EMS bike ride last week, and I want to thank all the first responders and EMS people. This is National EMS Week. So I don't have anything else for my report. And Stephen, you're up.
Thanks, Jim. Good evening, everyone. OPM update for our meeting tonight, the 20th of May. So with the Senior Center and projects over the last month. So, Steve Arch had his ongoing interior paintings, his ongoing exterior trim painting started last month. Typical ceiling grids and vinyls have been ongoing. They're going hard. They can't. Punch list. There were still some issues that had to be rectified. So all the ceiling tiles are in. Toilet room ceramic tiles complete, but there was some punch list that the subcontractor has to take care of. Resilient flooring has been installed and protected. Interior and exterior doors are installed. Food service equipment is installed. Millwork and casework installation is ongoing. So a bunch of those items are already picking up on the millwork. Voter petitions are complete. The MEPs, the plumbing, HVAC, fire protection, electrical technologies finishes are continuing. Precast concrete curb is mostly installed at this point. Grading is ongoing. The drainage basins and the rain gardens are ongoing. You really have the one that's out front along Mansfield to start working on. Loam screening and spreading has been ongoing. The electrical meter was installed and permanent power was provided by National Grid on the 9th. The Verizon pole was installed on May 7th. Contract, who is the owner's contractor, started pulling in the fiber on the 15th, and they told me it was about 1.5 miles away from the site. But it seems like they're maybe working on the site and off site. They do have 2 bucket trucks parked on the pavement, the parking lot. But they are starting to work on that weather permitting. And at this point, Seaver is 88% complete through the month of April. This is a photo much documentation. I took 2 photos of the telephone pole because that was a very big deal that day.
Get that plane.
Yes. My tribute to the telephone pole that we bought for. That's the Verizon pole. That's where the telecom is going to be coming in, where contractors is bringing the fiber in. That's the day it was installed. They've since put the conduit up to it. So finally, that's ongoing. I'm sort of going back through the month of May. Photo on the left is the rain base at the rear of the building, the front, the entry, and the parking area. The photo on the right.
Yeah, it's a light, no, it's the recording.
Photo on the right is the front of the building on the service entry side. That is a light. One of the light poles. There's others that have very distinct overhang type of a head. And there's the curbing. That's the extent that they've done so far. They've still got an area here, obviously, that has to be done, and then the sidewalk that runs in front. This ends up being a handicap ramp. Photo on the left is some progress in the kitchen with the cabinetry and some of the food service equipment. We've got an island here. At this point, the put in the ceiling tiles because again they're still working above the ceiling. Photo on the right is a view of the reception desk in the lobby from the cafe area. So beginning of May. Next photo on the left. This is our Verizon pole with the duct, finishing up the duct conduits for the duct bank. They had brought it out to just beyond the pavement originally. They had to run these, see where they had to do a few heated pens to get everything lined up. Photo on the right is our multi-purpose room with our light fixtures. Electricians have them all installed made from the ceiling. Next photo on the left is just showing progress of the ceiling grid. Photo on the right is a little more progress in the kitchen. They've got the range installed and in place. The hood's there. Some of the other equipment is starting to be installed and finalized. Still have to finish up the Ansel system. So, any questions on progress before I get into the look ahead? The look ahead is rather extensive because there's a lot of little parts and pieces that have to be done. They got to complete the exterior sealants. They got to complete the exterior painting, continue the MEPFP finishes, and start getting their inspections. Electrician has to connect power to the HVAC equipment. In order for the HVAC sub to do a startup, do his testing and balancing, and then start his commissioning. We've been having meetings with the commissioning agent for the last probably month and a half, 2 months, trying to line up dates when they can come in, because they'll probably have 2 to 3 days of commissioning of the system as a third-party agent. But they do need to startup reports, testing and balance report. They got to complete the electrical room, complete interior paint, complete the ceramic tile punch list, complete ceiling grid and tiles after the above ceiling inspection approval, complete the millwork and casework, install door hardware and glazing, install the toilet accessories, install the carpet tiles. That work has started. They'll come in and do the window shades towards the end, complete the kitchen equipment installation and Ansel system, and then do their startup of that equipment. Install room signage and building signage on the outside. Clean the building, generate their GC punch list, complete the sidewalks, install the patio brick pavers, continue grading and spreading loam, complete the drainage, install the fencing. We have fencing that's going between the neighbor and the parking lot. We have fencing going between the site and the strip mall. And we have a guardrail going out in the back in the parking area where that drainage basin is. I'm going to install the exterior signage, your stop signs and your wayfinding signage. Continue and finish up the underground site utilities and drainage basins. Remove the temp power and the temp pole. They use the existing pole that's right now in the middle of the pavement. Install their plantings and seeding, complete the precast curb, and then install the vertical granite curb. The radiuses coming in from Mansfield Ave at both entrances are granite curb. Install the top coat of pavement and stripe, and then obtain all the inspections from the department, fire department, Board of Health, and the architect. So issues on the site, the project schedule is obviously a big topic of discussion for the last meeting. They right now, Seaver is still maintaining that they're going to be substantially complete on the 30th, based on their schedule. They are, like I said before, they're approximately 88% complete through April of this month, based on the requisitions. As we talked about last meeting, I did send them a substantial completion notice letter on the 7th, including potential for assessment of liquidated damages as is included in the contract language. I did receive a response from Seaver on the 13th, citing permanent power and data delays by the owner. We're going to follow up with a response to them saying that, regardless of when the power was turned on, which has been, there's MEP systems, the interior, exterior, and site, not yet to the extent of substantial completion. Really haven't 100% completed anything. You could not occupy that building at this point.
And that's still the case.
Did they give you a schedule with their response?
No, it was an email response. So it's going to go back and forth, I'm sure,
yeah.
but setting that aside, the main point is getting them to get their work done by any ways that we can to help them. Then, as I mentioned before, National Grid did come in and provide permanent power on the 9th, and the meters installed. So what will happen now is the town will start getting bills from National Grid. We'll just take those. Town will pay for them. We'll apply a credit to the contractor's balance on the contract because it's all his power at this point. At substantial completion, that's when it'll be turned over to the town for full time. Installation of the gas meters has been requested, but Eversource Gas did come out to the site. They're ready to put the meter on, but there was a gas valve missing on the inside of the building. So that's been delayed. That gas valve is now installed. And the latest is Eversource Gas may be out this week. And then, like I said, Verizon did install the pole on the 7th, and the fiber service installation started. HVAC conditioning cannot start due to lack of power wiring to units. So there's just a bunch of things that they have to get straightened out, but we review it every week. And my man on the site tries to suggest what they should concentrate on. Doesn't always go on.
Can you, I know, but can you elaborate to them why the gas meter wasn't installed? Because they typically have to have a piece of equipment pulling gas before they put it on, right?
Right, they were all set to light the fireplace, which was gonna be the appliance that they had installed because the kitchen equipment wasn't quite there yet. But inside the building, there was a gas valve for the building that hadn't been installed yet. How they forgot about that.
So they won't let you have gas until you have something that needs gas. That makes sense.
Yeah, they won't put a meter in until they have something to witness that it's been lit.
Yeah.
They had the piece of equipment, they just didn't have the piece in the middle.
So does the schedule look better than last time? Or are we still the same, you think?
We're still the same, it's not better.
Even with that pretty pull?
We, the WB Mason has, I met with them. I did a walkthrough with their installer, showed them the building. They have everything, they're ready to go. We're right now, we're telling them, mid-June earliest. Because we can bring, as long as the building is clean, we punch the rooms. We can bring the furniture in, we don't need an occupancy permit for furniture. Just can't put people in it. So work can be going on. And we did look at potentially bringing some furniture in, but there was just too much of a risk, and they had work above the ceiling. We would think about putting furniture in the multipurpose room, it's a big room, put it in the middle, but they still had work above the ceiling. So I'm not going to risk the furniture and put furniture in the way of the trades that need to get on a lift
Doesn't make sense.
to reach things.
Yeah, the building's not ready.
Yeah, Ed said the building's not ready. Yeah, you don't want to hinder them.
And I think an example of why Steve is cautious is if you look at the pictures and look at the kitchen, none of the appliances are covered. They installed all the appliances and they're all open, like ready to use, yet they're still working in the kitchen above them, yet they're not protecting it. And at one of the construction meetings, I don't know which one, I brought up the fact of the floors not being protected. And they said they would, and then 2 days later, we were in there doing some inspection for something, and you could see where one of the lift trucks had driven across the floor of the meeting room. You could see tire tracks all the way across. And I had brought it up to their person on site, and they said, well, they're just laying the floor. I says, then somebody should be following the guy laying the floor and or stopping the people from moving stuff. But I believe maybe there was a picture somewhere of the tire tracks across the floor. So I think Steve I'm sure it's just dirt and it's not really doing any damage, but I brought it up and they wanted to put in the carpet early. And I says, I'm not gonna let you, or I don't think it's appropriate to put the carpet in because you're still doing work, people, and the subcontractors don't care. And, what's the carpet gonna look like after? Well, we'll protect it. And being the diligent nidge that I am, I said, just like you're protecting the floor and they had nothing to say. So they did move the carpet installation up, and I understand they're doing it this week instead of 2 weeks ago. But I think Steve's cautionary about the furniture. Somebody will be dropping a tile or something on the furniture. Brian?
Is there a restriction to use less than the finishes on this account? You might want to add that. Is that a job? And somebody
Dropped a box of screws and the lift drove over it and it scratched the crap out of my entire floor. It ripped it all out. You can't protect from that.
Right.
So
Well, we remind them of the risks.
I know.
Because we're not gonna accept something that has a scratch in it,
I just didn't know if it was,
something that has a gouge in it.
if it was provision And
Yeah.
once, no man lifts, vertical lifts, but I don't call it, once finished floor start, period.
It goes into means and methods, but yeah.
That's not a means of method, that's protecting your flooring.
Okay, Steve Horn has a question.
So substantial completion is supposed to be 5:30, but is there a rough estimate?
Yeah, it's, I mean, today it's a 20. It's not gonna be 5:30.
Yeah, we don't know what's gonna happen.
So at the best, it would be a big two. And that means, that again, substantial completion isn't 100% done. It's substantially complete. It's like 99% done. If the building could be occupied, but we still have to have all the inspections, all the approvals, affidavits, which I think is gonna be a little bit of an extended period of time. So they may get to the mid-June and say, I'm ready for a substantial completion inspection. And then we'll see what happens from that point.
That's really your question, this whole.
Yeah. I mean, Bob has been basically doing an inspection every week and giving them field observation report. The engineers come in essentially once a month, do the same thing. So it's sort of like a running punch list, which,
It's a long list.
yeah.
If we weren't doing that, it would, I'm sure it'd be long.
Just to keep things in perspective, Bob did the above ceiling punch list last week and it's a mile long, so.
So I did give, bunch of, it's 3 pages long. For 1-story building, this many rooms should be one page.
And half of that punch list is stuff that's been on a list for probably 6 months.
Exactly.
And the last time I looked at the list, there was 98 items on it. And when I went into the site today, nobody was in the office. They were on site. On the OPM for Seaver's desk was the punch list turn to page 1 with nothing checked off. So Brian, you had a question?
Yeah, I think I brought this up once before. Did their original approved baseline show milestones in terms of power?
If the answer is no, then how did they substantiate it and say we delayed them?
Well, they did have a line on that one point, yeah.
Okay,
And I'd have to go back to what it was.
because that's where they can argue from.
But it's all well and good. If the rest of the building was done, then you're absolutely right.
Oh, I agree. Now the pole's up, to Beth's point. Okay, we'll finish the building. Pole's up.
Well, they've turned the
Power's
power,
on,
but
finish.
HVAC is not wired.
Correct. My point is if their schedule said we'll be done a month after permanent power, okay, the clock's ticking. 5/9, we better be done by 6/9, because that's what your baseline said. So. I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot more curveballs in there.
Well, I mean, we can't let our foot off the pedal on the town side. We gotta get the fiber and we gotta get the telephone and we gotta get the cable in. But the fiber going in first, is the most important.
I just have
Ties
fun.
into the units.
Yeah.
I mean, they can do startup and commissioning, but ultimately you need the internet to be able to give you your building management system.
The BAS, yeah.
To log.
Did we have to put a annunciator in? We tested for that?
No fire alarm has been tested whatsoever.
No, they walk through, the fire department walks through and says you need a BDA. They walk around the building when it's pretty much finished and they test for it. Has that been done?
The BDA,
Or do we already have it in the contract?
what we have in the contract is, the electrician does a pre-test.
Okay,
That has not been done yet. We've asked for it. I think they said they did it, but we have not seen
I haven't seen it before.
the report.
because if that triggers it, it takes a while to get a BDA system. It can delay the job further, and that's back on them. Just bringing that up as a little helpful little.
And talking of problems, you have to remember the pole is in, but the pole doesn't give you systems. And they're a mile away and the town is responsible for getting the fiber to the building, not the contractor. So
There's bound to be some concurrent delays.
Again, once all that's in, they're still not ready to connect to it.
It's all right. Yeah.
Which is what happened with the electric, which happened with the gas. They assumed the gas was ready, but the inside main shutoff was not there. They assumed the electric was ready, but some of the switchgear was not there. So the subcontractors doing those are the Seaver's responsibility, but they weren't ready for the main systems to be connected and run.
And those kind of things change supers, PMs. I mean, you guys you don't have any responsibility for. I mean, not trying to make excuses, but it should be, you know, talking, that they should be having coordination meetings with their subs to say, are you ready? Are you ready? And we don't know whether they are documents.
Have any of the subs, foreman changed at all? Cause to your point, they would know.
Yeah, I know the electrician has not, the HVAC is not. I'd have to ask my guy if anybody else. I don't know the right. So we've got, we only got a couple things coming up on change order 5. We're still trying to work out. You know, the piece we linked with these two, we have okayed. And at one time at the split rail fence, I was carrying more than that, so that number is pretty good. So we do have a change order number 5 that will be coming out. If we can add something to it, we will. But right now it's under 8,100. And our change order summary, we're figuring that change order 5 is at that amount we issue it. Our total change order is 172,972. And if we have some change orders that were submitted and some unsubmitted, and I'm carrying a sort of heavy number for that because part of that is the sidewalk or out front. Versus our construction contingency, we're still at $679,551. I do have another number for the sidewalk from a site contractor that does work for the town DPW on a blanket purchase agreement. I've asked a couple questions on it because right now it appears that that's a lower number than what was submitted from Seaver. But I want to get a couple things answered first before and if they're low, I'll talk to Mike and as far as issuing them, whether it's a contractor purchase or I'm not sure how it's set up in the town for them to do that work.
Is that something that'll be done on a weekend so they're not in their way?
I don't think there'll be a conflict with it
Okay.
because they'll be strictly along the edge of the road. Ideally, Seaver's site contractor will have brought in and installed his granite radiuses because the scope of the work for the sidewalk is to run the straights between the two radiuses.
So you're just filling in the middle.
Yeah, the middle and then extending on one end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everything else around it, you just want the concrete, basically. Was it asphalt?
It's
The 2 minutes?
5 foot asphalt and
2
then
minutes, yeah.
a vertical
I
granite.
just don't want to give them any more reason to say the owner delayed enough.
Yeah, I'd rather do it that way.
You can do it at night.
So then our overall contingency with the soft cost, which didn't change from last month, was a little over 682. So, ready for town hall or any questions on senior center?
Any questions on the senior center, community center?
No, I think everything's.
Seeing none, we can move on, Steve.
So, town hall, progress since our last meeting, door frame installation is ongoing. Sheetrock installation and taping is ongoing on the second floor. They're virtually done at this point. Prime and first coat of painting ongoing on the first and second floor. They're sort of chasing the sheetrock out of the building.
That's a good thing.
Ceiling grid has started, ceramic tile has started. Mainly they're doing the ceramic on the walls first. Siding trim and exterior caulking is complete. Exterior prime painting has started. As if you've gone by, you see the building is now looking white. The elevator installation is ongoing. The masonry infill at the elevator door frame was formed last week. Fire protection, plumbing, HVAC, electrical and technology rough-ins are continuing. Permanent power, we're waiting for replacement of a damaged circuit breaker, and that will be finalized. They thought they had 3 damaged breakers. They got 2 shipped last week, but not the main one that they need. The other 2 were spares. Site work restarted with drainage work. The temporary heating was removed. And M. O'Connor is 59, well, basically 60% complete through April of 2020. So progress photos, photo on the left, is front of the building, the south elevation, showing the prime coat going up. Photo on the right is the drainage work. This is the drainage basin that's adjacent to the select board meeting room. Next photo is window. Photo on the right is the drainage adjacent to the police department. Next photo is a drainage swale that's between the public parking and the front drive in front of the town hall. Photo on the right is the door frame and the cab at the elevator. You guys are still working their way through their installation. Next 2 photos are the front lobby. I apologize for the photos in the packet. They're a little pixelated. Just how the printer came out. But you can see these are sort of the extra large tiles similar to the ones in the multi-purpose room at the senior center. Next page, 2 photos are the HVAC condensing units that are at the rear of the building. There's a number of small ones on stands, and then the larger ones adjacent to that. Next photo on the left is just showing that ceiling grid has started in some of the rooms. Photo on the right is the wall tile in one of the toilet rooms. Yeah. The subway tiles. Any questions on progress?
Go ahead.
I will report that the final coat was, I believe, completed today, and they started the main coat on the back of the building. Also, there was some disappointment that the glass hasn't arrived for the front foyer. It was due this week, and I know it's only Monday, but I guess they're expecting it today, and it didn't arrive, so they were somewhat disappointed that the front foyer still has plywood and stuff in the front. But the building looks all white now. I'm disappointed the 2-tone brown is gone, but white is what everybody wanted, so that's what we got. So go ahead, Steve. I don't see any
I
questions.
have one question. The permanent power cable issue, but we're gonna have the same thing. Not an issue. But we'll have not seen it.
They have power. They're just waiting on that one breaker.
Oh, okay, so they're ready to go.
Transformed by then.
And then what's their proposed finish date at this point for substantial? Because the elevator inspections now have been taking a while, and I get nervous when you want inspection in end August, September with all the schools. You know what I mean? It overwhelms the state inspectors. I was just curious. It sounds like we're in that August.
Yeah, we're in the August timeframe because then we got to go into phase 2.
Yeah.
So it seems like a ways away, but it really isn't.
It just sneaks up on you.
Yeah. So schedule look ahead is complete sheetrock and taping, continue the interior and exterior painting, continue the acoustical ceiling grid, continue ceramic tile, complete the elevator installation, continue with the fire protection, plumbing, HVAC, and electrical rough-ins, connect the permanent power, and continue with the septic, permanently, and the drainage for the site. So some other issues that have come up on the town hall, we do have a little bit of a problem with the binder course. We did have the binder was installed in the first week of December. The temperature was a little cool.
Mm-hmm.
We had, our third-party testing company come in and do some testing. They did 7 core, samples of the binder. And we found that they all, were under the minimum density of 92%. They were in the high 80s. And that, 6 out of the 7 were about 5/16 thinner than it should be on an average. What the binder, of course, was a 2-inch thick binder. So we brought that to the contractor's attention. The site work contractor offered an additional 1-year warranty on their 1 year that they own. And then a thicker top course to make the full thickness, per contract. We rejected this proposal, based on the civil engineer's concern that, there would be, deterioration of that binder course, over time. We had a meeting with the site work contractor last Tuesday. We had sort of a long discussion. I said to them that, I fully expected that your paving supplier, which is Wholesome, with the old aggregates and a number of other names, would have been involved in this discussion. They weren't. Long story short, we asked for their supplier to provide any kind of additional information they had on the binder, the actual mix that they provided, which is, it's called the theoretical maximum specific gravity and density values. Our testing company used an assumed value, so it may be a matter of having the actual value, redoing the calculations and finding that density is where it should be. If it's not, and we want to give them that opportunity to do that. If it's not, then we're going to have to decide what we're going to do. No one really wants to tear up binder. It's been down since December. It's been driven over constantly with heavy equipment. We're not seeing any kind of deterioration, but it's still, that doesn't mean that we're just going to accept it on looks. We may end up discussing an extended warranty. They've already, the general contractors already offered a 2-year warranty bond on top of the 1-year warranty that the site work contractor owns. Which, when you think about it, that warranty would start at substantial completion, which is August. The binder's been down since December. You almost already have a year already. But before we entertain that, and it's just one thing that's the one offer that's on the table. Before we entertain that, we want to go through the values for that binder, and have the supplier come to the table and explain what they think is the issue. So it's I want to bring it up because I think everybody sees that there's been curbing sitting there for a while, and why isn't it going in yet? That's essentially it. We want to be able to close this issue out before they start putting in curb.
Good question. Who's the testing firm? Is it Yankee?
Yankee.
So were they here when the asphalt was done?
Yep.
So they tested the temperatures and they did the compaction testing, and they have the slips from the trucks, all the Marshall numbers on them, everything. Is that the part that's the Marshall numbers? That was throwing things out?
I gotta find out whether we actually have the slips in them, because it's always an issue. They always drive off with the slips. And then we've had to ask them to resupply them.
Well, the tech's supposed to write it all down anyway, so if you got the right Marshall number, if the Marshall number wasn't provided, and to your point, they assumed one, that could be throwing your calcs off.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can update that and it all goes away. 'Cause
We had
if it
that
hasn't cracked now with concrete trucks on it, it's probably not gonna crack.
We had that conversation on Tuesday. Tomorrow will be a week, so maybe we'll get something. Figured I'd bring it up. It is an issue, and I think people wonder why they're not working on that. Another issue, we discussed the existing town hall demolition. So just as a recap, last meeting, there was a proposal on the table from DPW and their engineers for the existing conditions survey, construction documents, and then construction administration. The committee approved the existing condition survey and the documents only. The amendment that brought that amendment down from 130,600 to 73,550. Bob and Ed and the engineers were performed their site visit on the 7th to review the existing conditions. Casano accompanied, opened up doors. We spent more time in the basement, sort of re-verifying things that were looked at a year and a half ago.
Yeah, well,
Something like that. So I don't know if you can give an update, as everybody's probably still
Yeah.
working on.
Yeah, we're still working on the drawings, probably a few weeks out still, and then we hand that off to the contractor for them to get pricing on it.
Are you gonna do an independent estimate as well? Based on the drawings?
We had not planned on it, so.
Okay.
We want to try and get it into M. O'Connor's hands as quick as possible, so that it dovetails into phase 2 of the project.
I agree.
If we can get, if the numbers work. They don't.
Well, it's not to say that numbers work without an independent estimate. That's what I'm saying. You should be able to step by step to see how close they are.
You want to entertain getting a third-party estimate. We can price it out. Get it from PMNC or somebody.
I mean, that's evaluated anyway, so I don't think it's worth.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, we're gonna look at it.
Yeah.
We're not gonna just.
They should be able
Right,
to.
we're gonna evaluate. that
Yeah,
also.
you.
And it's a
show
hard
the scope.
number.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should be able to. If it's in left field or something. Just don't want them to take advantage of the situation.
I was present during the May 7th inspection, and I was optimistic at the conversations going on. There's a lot of worry, I guess, about connections of the building and connections of the HVAC and everything else, and it sort of looked like, and I am not an engineer, I'm not a construction person, I'm a civilian, that everything can be disconnected fairly easy, and it will have to be a precise demolition because you're next to the other demolition, other building you're gonna use. But it shouldn't be as complicated as first thought. The buildings aren't really tied together. There isn't stuff from the old building connecting through or whatever. It's all it'll all be in the report, but I was somewhat, and I went all the way up on the roof, much to the chagrin of the fire department that was waiting with a basket to take me to the hospital. It was, I mean, the gas line runs outdoors all the way on top of the roof. It's not within the building, so it's one of something that may be fairly simple to replace, but I was optimistic that, the numbers I had heard before may not be as high as we were hoping, and hopefully the town treasurer and Mike can, juggle the numbers and maybe through the past money that we might have left over, be able to cover this without going back to the town, which nobody wants to do because we're already, the town's in the midst of a 3-part budget fiasco that's gonna happen in a couple of weeks, so I don't wanna be involved in something else going back, and, that is what it is.
No, I'm saying.
Mr. Hornsby.
3-part budget fiasco.
Hmm?
I'm part to do with that.
I think we had a certain amount approved by the voters for these projects, right?
And we came under budget on our bids, and we were given a, $1 million donation or something? So we started.
I mean, that's what I was counting
That's what we're
on
hoping for.
originally was, and I always forget the term, but, I was counting on we were under budget. I was counting on the,
Contingency.
the
Contingency.
the contingency funds. We haven't had as many change orders as we had hoped, although we're not done yet. So, we never know. There may be, the swimming pool for the, new town manager or whatever, but, as far as right now, I'm somewhat more confident that we can cover the demolition with funds already appropriated. Because my original figure that I was, again, not a professional builder, bouncing around, was around $2 million. And I forget what the estimate was that we cut out when we stopped, but I think it was under $1 million. And we may be somewhere between the original amount and my $2 million out, and we should have between the two, and that's the other problem is the way the money was passed or the bonding, can we use what's left over from the town hall? That's to be worried about on another day, but I'm more optimistic now that we should be able to cover the expense of the demolition. And I think Steve has mentioned we're trying to get this done before, because there is going to be demolition at the old town hall of the food pantry. So somebody is going to be there doing a partial demolition. We're hoping to add on to that and make it a complete demolition, and we'll see what it is. And to quote a famous OPM that drilled into my head, it's all means and methods and juggling. So.
And part of phase two, there's also new construction. We don't necessarily want them to do and then demo.
Right.
So we want to get it.
Because we have to put a new facade on the end of the building, because when we take down the gymnasium, that was that was one of the walls in the building, and then they put a second wall, and that led to the.
It's not just demolition, it's
Yeah.
pavement first. It's demolition, selective demolition, it's not general building demolition. You're connected to a fire station. And then it goes converts into a construction project. Whatever has to be done with utilities that do have to be connected. Which it doesn't sound like it's as bad as we thought based on reactions of the engineers. So to be done. But then there's wall work, there's finish work, there's installation, there's everything for that one. So, and you gotta be able to give them a mind price it and then action.
Steve.
To add to what you were saying, whatever's left over from the building itself could be used towards demolition. I know we were asking the question if we could use whatever's left over from the senior center as well, and that can't be used. Okay. And we confirmed that, for the demolition of the town hall. So we confirmed that with James.
Mr. Chair. Can that money be transferred at a town meeting, Steve? In the past, we've done something like this before where we had money left over in two separate accounts that were both designated for a specific purpose. But at the end of it, there was surplus. We were able to move money from point A to point B at required a town meeting warrant article.
Yeah.
And it could be done.
Through the chair, that's a great question. I did ask that question. I'm waiting on the answer to that. The audit will do this town meeting, but it would be really good.
No, because we haven't got any figures yet on the demolition, so we're all talking hypothetical, whatever.
We just want to make sure.
Demolition and reconstruction. We'll add that word like we added community center. Okay,
Mr. Chair,
Steve. Oh,
I wanted to ask
Kevin.
Ed if he agreed with your layman's assessment of the conditions, if same conditions, or maybe Bob, you can speak to
I
it.
agree, in very general terms. Yeah, I agree.
Good deal. So when will there be multiple bidders on this? Okay,
Looking at it as a change order first,
okay,
because we're able to do that because the part of the contract that we have now was demolition and reconstruction on that building. It's not like we're going down to the library, it's a completely different building. That's when it fits on the schedule. And it's just it's an extension of or increasing the amount of demolition on buildings that they're already.
and obviously as an MOCC, they'll have complete access to what you looked at and assessed. They can go in there before they provide their bid. So,
We want them to know as much as
sure.
we want to read.
And when they do provide a number, just like any other, proposed change orders, like you see in the two slides, we vet all these through as well. They just happen to be smaller numbers. and simpler items. This is gonna be a big one, so we're gonna vet through it really well, get the right number.
It was in their contract, that's why.
Right. It's not,
Yeah,
it's not, you don't have to consider it a separate project.
and
And
the,
it-
and the dollar item's not gonna be above a certain percentage of
Not
the
over
overall
20% of
construction.
Of the full contract. Yeah, those are the two things I looked up to make sure we're doing this correctly.
Any other questions? Steve? Hmm?
Good.
Okay,
Project schedule, Emilcon is still showing a three-week schedule slip, on their current schedule update that should say dated 4/30 due to the wet building condition and remediation activities. We sent previous comments back rejecting that and the inferred time extension. We talked to them about it. They seem to be carrying it. But for all intents and purposes, they're looking pretty good with their schedule. Meaning we had very few issues. Very few major issues on that project. You know, a lot of small stuff, but just we didn't know.
If they have,
And they follow up on it.
if they wind up ripping up asphalt, it's a whole water under the bridge. Cause you could say right now, you put your curbing in, it's their risk, but they're delaying their own schedule.
Well, something like that, do you allow the 2-year extension of the warranty? Is that enough? It's just gonna happen. You said.
Paving takes a long time to deteriorate unless it's completely done wrong. To me, and I'm no engineer, it doesn't sound like it's a big issue.
Well, just to answer your question, that they offered an additional year for a total of 2, that we said, no, it's not enough. If they had come back with, well, we'll give you a 5-year warranty,
Damn,
we may have had the conversation over.
yeah, game set match.
Yeah. So,
Do they ever offer, kind of like a credit, in exchange for,
Yes.
go through the process and determine that it really should be done? Do we ever entertain a credit instead of actually doing the work so that in the future, we can redo it if we need to?
depends on what it is. I don't know whether I'd necessarily consider that with binder, because it's sort of a major operation, but there may be something else in the building that you're accepting it at a little bit lesser than what you expected. But sometimes you do that when the fix becomes more of an issue than what the issue is, but you say, well, you didn't do it right. And they say, we'll offer you a credit, and it's just a credit off of the project itself. It's something you shouldn't have to fix later. We're not looking to set up the town to have to fix something in 3 years.
Especially not binder.
Yeah.
Cause when you
Alright.
rip that up, it messes up the subgrade. You gotta regrade it all.
The gym that not talking too much, but the gym that I go to when it was, the building was built, there was some chips in the urinals, like, ceramic, chips, nothing big, just aesthetic. So they, they offer them a credit instead of fixing it. It would be more expensive to fix
Yeah,
it.
but that's an aesthetic item. That's
Right.
Steve's point.
And-
If it was the striping was the wrong color, okay, we could live with it. You know what I mean? But a
Yeah.
binder's underneath the wearing course, you gotta rip the wearing course up to fix the binder, so it's not
If they
worth it.
forgot a couple beams. and said,
Yeah,
"Oh,
you
know,
rip the whole
should go."
ceiling part and fix a beam.
It all depends on what it is, and and it's a discussion.
But to your point, your example, yeah, sometimes you take a little money back. It's kind of like, cause you paid for better quality and didn't get it. This is.
I'm not condoning that, recommending it, I'm just, didn't know, this is a bigger deal than what I'm talking about. I'm just curious.
So as far as Emil Corner, we do have a couple of change orders that we've given the okay. We went over these last time. Right now, we took off the additional countertops that the assessors made them just because of the price. It was too high, so we're pulling that out. And the third flagpole, which was voted on and originally was at 20,430 something. When we told the contractor it was a go, contacted the vendor that gave them the quote. They said, oh yeah, we're not gonna be able to have that until September, which does not work for the project and setting it. So we asked them to come up with find another vendor. Came up a few dollars more, and essentially we were fine with it. So those two will probably go into change order number 7. And, you know, again, we've got right now 7 change orders, $152,578.58 in change orders issued, figuring a potential 200,000 in phase 1 and phase 2, and our construction contingency at 849, made that 497, just under 500,000 goals. So our contingency is good on the town hall also. So yeah.
What are we gonna do with that counter? You took it out, but what is it?
They're
still
going back to the
drawing board?
Woodcraft and saying you're a little high here.
Yeah, okay, good. I mean, the contingency went up 7, that's why I was saying to Mark, you know, 499, 497, because we took that out, but it's gonna be in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna.
Still gonna be 3,000-4,000 maybe, but not 7.
We're still talking about it.
Yep.
Okay, any questions about anything you've heard? Okay, I'm gonna set a meeting date for June. Monday holidays in June.
24th is the next one. That's the last.
24th. Anybody have a problem with June 24th?
No, sir.
Okay, I think that's it.
Just wondering about the Senator Beatty's grant or whatever, did you, town manager, if you have to spend that this fiscal year or?
From what I heard, we don't, but I haven't heard definitively back from them. But
That was the reason we moved this, we had this meeting early so that we can make